I'd say that.
Hello and welcome to Nolan Financial Radio. My name is Chris McKinney from Nolan Financial Partners. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 719-210-4242 or visit us online at our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. And while at our website, click on the radio page, check out our past shows, and subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. I think one of the trickiest parts of retirement planning is determining how long your savings need to last. After all, while healthy habits can play a role in longevity, no one can predict how long they're going to live. So many financial professionals advise their clients to plan for a lifespan of 95 years. And that is our starting point as well. So to help prevent running out of money in retirement, I read through this article from U.S. News World Report called "Should Retirees Plan for 95?" So is that still a good approach? Some experts are raising some doubts. So we're going to go over those in today's episode. We're going to take a deep dive into the wisdom of planning for age 95 and explore what the latest data tells us. Plus, we'll cover some essential financial planning strategies for retirement. So before we get into that, let me introduce you to my co-host, Tony Shore, who I suspect will be hosting the show well into his 90s.
Yeah, let's hope I make it to 95, and let's hope I can still do the show with you each week, Chris. As long I've said it before, I'll say it again. As long as my voice holds out, Chris, I'll be here for you.
That's awesome.
It's more of a pleasure for me. I mean, I'm along for the ride. You're doing all the heavy lifting. I just have fun every show. So.
You help make it fun, Tony, and we get together and we're always enjoying a little bit of something that is it's a little bit of a dry subject. Finances, a little dry.
just a little bit.
We need to know about them because guess what drives our life? Our money.
Yeah,
so
finances.
Finances drive what we can do and what we can't do a lot of times, and so we need to understand how the money works. So that's what this show is about.
Yeah. And I think that's great, Chris. And before the show, you were talking about how you put hay out for the horses. And I've been putting hay in the barn, and you guys have horses. And I grew up on a farm with horses. And every time it just reminded me of when I was a kid and I'd say, "Hey, Mom." You say, I'd walk into the room, "Hey, Mom," like I'm going to ask for something. And she'd always say, "Hay is for horses, son." Anytime I said "hey," she'd say, Dad would always say "straw." I go, "Hey," and he'd go "straw." Yeah. And then I'd say, "Hey, Mom," and she'd go, "Hay is for horses." So I don't know why they did that or why I remember that as a kid, but that was their line. Anytime they kind of weaned me off of saying "hey."
it was their effort and patience.
Yes. They had to make my interruptions entertaining somehow.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I am interested in this because, I know that we deal with longevity. I know that people are living longer, and we're going to talk about that. I know you have some stats for us, but planning to 95, I think so many people would think, "Well, I'm not going to live to 95," especially a lot of guys out there. "I'm not going to live to 95." Well, right. My grandfather lived to 101 and he was camping at 100. So you gotta plan for longevity, I think, but that's my take on it. But let's kick this off. What are we talking about here, Chris?
Well, so there was a study by Health Use Services that went over kind of if you're planning to 95, is that being overly cautious? Well, yeah, maybe. So let's look at that. The idea is that 95% of retirees in their 60s already have at least one chronic condition that is going to shorten their expected lifespan.
Well, or could possibly shorten.
Could possibly, right. So there's no exact thing. And so So, but most of my fellow financial service professionals continue to use 95 as a benchmark when we design retirement income strategies. Well, why do we do that?
Yeah,
Well,
that's the question. Why do so many financial professionals stick to that number then?
well, we want to stick to that number because we want to make sure that people have enough money for retirement. Now, if one of these chronic conditions starts to get worse and starts to bring up other medical problems, from my perspective, now they're going to have that extra money they were going to plan on because they were going to live longer. Now they have that money to help them live better in that period and pay for their health care and pay for the things that they need if they are running into problems, if things
Or
are
leave it or have more left to leave as a legacy. And I know we're gonna get
that's right.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that as well. I think that's I would err on the side of cautious because you've said before on the show, Chris, that the number one fear that people have when they come to you and talk to you about finances is running out of money in retirement.
Yeah, that's right.
So why wouldn't you plan to 95? I mean, you better safe than sorry. If your biggest fear is running out of money, you want to err on the overly cautious side, I would say.
Yeah, it is being it's an optimistic target as far as people go, but it is erring on the side of having enough money and not running out of it. And so that's where we would like to that's where we err.
Sure.
So there's some people that argue that there's no real downside, and that's my argument. There's just no real downside doing that. If you pass away early, it transfers to loved ones. You should have a well-structured estate plan and financial strategy so that you have all the things that you need there.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I mean, no one wants to risk running out of money in their later years, and working with somebody like you is a smart way to ensure financial security no matter how long you live. And I think that's huge.
Yeah. So according to that HealthViews study, a 65-year-old woman today has an average life expectancy of 90, while a 65-year-old man can expect to live until 88. So these numbers probably are new numbers for you to hear because they're new for me. That if you don't have a chronic condition, a woman's going to live to 90 and a man's going to live to 88. So those numbers are always, those targets are always getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we go through time because our healthcare is getting so much better than it used to be. So that's why we use 95.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, even though I know that article quoted an advisor that said he's been in the industry, or they've been in the industry over 20 years, and he's only had one client live past 90. Well, I think that's rare. I know a lot of financial advisors like yourself, and I know financial advisors that have had many clients in their 90s.
Right.
And so I don't know. I think I think they might have cherry picked that advisor because I've done shows and worked with hundreds of advisors over the years, and I don't ever remember telling me they've only had a couple live to 90. Most of them have told me they've had clients live well into their 90s, if not hit 100. So
right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we're outliving our parents. We're outliving it just because of the health care that the Gen, what are we, Gen Y?
Yeah, I'm Gen X.
Gen X. I'm sorry, Gen X. So Gen X is going to live longer because our parents gave us better food. We didn't grow up in a world war. There's lots of good things about us versus our parents. Now, my dad still lived to be 87, and he had many chronic conditions.
Oh, yeah. My dad is 81, and he has Parkinson's. He has multiple chronic conditions, and he's 81 and still going. So,
yeah. So So anyway, we want to make sure that we plan for long enough, and despite the tables, everybody's got their own individual experience. I guess that's what we're really getting at, is everybody's going to have their own individual experience, how long they're going to live, and how long they're going to be able to do things and be mobile and travel and things like that. My mom's in her mid 80s and she can still travel. She can still do stuff. She's in really good shape. She's starting to slow down a little bit. That happens, but she's still really good. She can drive herself to the airport, right? So if you can drive yourself to the airport, you can go places.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you can exactly. You can still travel at that point. Well, and as a financial professional, how do you deal with increasing life expectancies then in terms of helping your clients prepare for that future income?
Yeah, so we look at considering multiple projections with different age scenarios. First we start out with learning about their family history and if they have any health issues that might impact their longevity. We have some serious conversations. They're not always the funnest, but we get to where,
Sure.
okay, this is kind of where you fall in the actuarial tables. This is where you fall because of where your family is. So let's start there, and then if we have some software where we can, oh, you want it to be a different age, and then we say, okay, let's make it, instead of 95, let's make it 100. Oh, you don't want 95, you want 90 because you want to be able to spend a bunch of money. Okay, we'll do 90. And so we do that so that people understand how much money they're going to have, throughout their retirement. It's funny how retirement funds go up and down during retirement, as people are in retirement. And so, and then your needs change. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. So you've got to have the ability to flex with that. And so our software is pretty good about showing, okay, well, we need to have a bulk sum here. We need to be able to have this nest egg, these funds that are safe in case there's a big market downturn, so that we can take care of that. So we make sure that we have a full comprehensive plan around those kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's really important. And speaking of that comprehensive plan, Chris, how can our listeners out there get a plan in place or get a second opinion on where they're at?
Yeah, you can reach us at 719-210-4242. We've got some complimentary consultations set aside for new clients. Give us a call and we'll set those up. We take those meetings usually Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We can accommodate whatever time you need on those days. Let us know and we'll set up that complimentary consultation. Oh, I wanted to let our listeners know that we're doing a seminar on taxes, retirement, and Social Security on April 22nd. And so give us a call at that number and we can reserve a spot for you at that. It's going to be about a 2-hour education on tax retirement, very in-depth, rapid fire stuff. We're going to try and get that out to a lot of people. So give us a call and we can reserve your spot for that.
Yeah, and now with that seminar that you're doing, it's an educational seminar. You're not trying to sell people things.
Nope.
It's completely educational. Is there a cost for that?
There is no cost for that
but
seminar.
You have to reserve a spot because it fills up fast, right?
If it fills up, I don't want people standing for 2 hours.
Right. There's a limited amount of people that'll fit in the room, and it's a personal, and it's an in-person seminar.
Yes.
Where is that taking place?
It's taking place at the Rampart Range campus of Pikes Peak State College.
Nice.
So it's up on the north side of town off of Interquest.
Yeah, they have a nice facility.
So everybody kind of knows where that is. Yeah, it's a good facility. It's usually pretty easy to find for people. There's
lots of parking.
And then I put little signs around to help people find which classroom
Sure.
we're gonna be in. But
Yeah.
we'll give you the classroom number and everything when you
Yeah.
call in. So
yes, the only thing our listeners have to do to attend, and it's very educational, is call and reserve a spot. And how
that's
can
right.
they do that once again?
So give us a call at 719-210-4242 to reserve your spot.
All right. Now, in the first part of the show, you were talking about whether planning for a 95-year lifespan in retirement is still a solid strategy to avoid running out of money in retirement.
Yeah.
I think that was a good conversation. Now, what's next?
So the next thing we want to talk about is some key steps for getting prepared, right? So, okay, now I got an idea on my longevity. What do I need to do for myself right now to get ready for retirement? So first thing you've got to do is define what your retirement savings goals are going to be. To do this, you've got to ask some really big picture questions, right? So you really want to know, what is your dream retirement lifestyle? We want to help you build the lifestyle of your dreams. We've got to get at what that is, right? So, what do you do with most of your free time? Most financial professionals use 80% of your pre-retirement income to sustain your lifestyle after you stop working. That's kind of just a ballpark number, right?
Right.
So
it doesn't apply to everyone all the time.
Doesn't apply to everyone because of whatever situation. Now, so if your dream retirement includes traveling across the world, traveling across the country, fine dining, 5-star hotels, 80% may not be enough, because guess what? You have more of in retirement. You have time, right? Time to do things.
Every day is a Saturday, so you're probably going to spend more money, especially at the beginning of your retirement.
Those first 5 years, a lot of people spend a lot more than they made the last 5 years that they worked.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And we can help plan for that.
Yeah, as long as you plan for it, it's okay.
It's okay.
But to go in and just spend willy-nilly without a plan is doesn't usually work out too well.
That's right. So now I do have a client. She likes the quiet life. She doesn't really like to travel. She has traveled in the past. She didn't dig it. And so she wants to build a garden in her home.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking a little garden. I'm not talking, a couple tomato plants here. I'm talking, a greenhouse,
sure,
a garden, and then make it beautiful, a beautiful place to hang out in. That
sure.
So we're looking like a $30,000 garden in her backyard.
Sure.
Between all the landscaping and all the things she wants to do, because she likes hanging out, she likes gardening, she likes working with plants, and so that's what she wants to do. So everybody's got their own thing. Tara and I like to go to the movies about once a month to see the best movie that month. Maybe that's what you like too. Well, guess what? You go to the movies, and by the time you pay for all the drinks and popcorn and everything, just for 2 people, you can be laying down $60-$70. So especially the way I eat. So Tara goes through 2 bags of popcorn. Tara goes through 2 bags of popcorn, and I'll go through 2 drinks. So I get thirsty.
Yeah. We between my wife and I usually go through at least a large bucket of popcorn, and then get a refill on the way out. So
right.
Yeah.
Make sure we take advantage of any free refills that are available.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that's what going to the movies is all about. I call it show corn. That's not regular popcorn like you can make at home. That's show corn right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's interesting. And so you have to look at lifestyle and goals in retirement. Some goals are more expensive than others. If your goal is, hey, when I retire, I'm buying a fancy RV and traveling the country. Well, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars for a nice RV. So you got to plan for these things, right?
Yeah. We've had a client, they bought an RV, a really, really nice one. Yep. And they went full time.
Wow.
And they still have their house. so they have a place to rest, but they go just everywhere.
Wow.
And guess what miles to gallon in a large RV is? It's not good.
It's like 10, maybe.
It's yeah. I think they forget that number and they just go by volume.
Right. Yeah. How many gallons? We don't want to look at the miles per gallon.
Right. So
I hope you have a grand. I hope you have a grand in your pocket when you pull up to a gas station.
Yeah, that's
hundreds
right.
hundreds of dollars each time.
Hundreds and hundreds of dollars to fill those things up.
Yeah, so that takes hopefully you saved well, and that if that's your goal, and you can do that. And like you said, though, some people, it depends on what you want to do, and I think that's a big part of all this. So
it really depends on what you want to do. So we can help you get a feel for what you want to do, because we've heard a lot, right? So it's interesting how we draw people's dreams out of them so that they understand what their dream is.
Sure.
Some people are like, I don't want to do anything. I'm like, okay, that ain't true.
Yeah, that's not, but you gotta have a purpose. Hopefully you know, that's not necessarily a plan. You might need more than that. But yeah. So I know that we're going down this retirement checklist too, to see how much money you're going to need, right, to last through retirement.
Yeah. So once you kind of decide what your goals are, then you kind of know what you need to start saved, right? And have saved, excuse me. So you need to know okay, you're working, how much do I got to save? Okay, I'm saving this much in my 401k. Okay, I got my personal IRAs going too, so I got money there. Maybe I need some more. Maybe I need an individual, account in the market. Maybe I need some other things, some other safe money areas to offset, my risk in the market. All these things. And
Roth IRA or a fixed index annuity or cash value life insurance. There are a lot of different tools out there.
Lots of tools.
And hopefully have a balance among them and not just in one area, right? So
that's right. And you want to have different asset classes of investments, not just different, a mutual fund with Fidelity and a mutual fund with Vanguard is not a divestment of assets.
Right.
So you need something that's actually different. And so if we have a crash,
some people say, oh, I'm diversified and it's all in the stock market or tied to the market. Well, you might be diversified within your portfolios, but you're not diversified with your money overall, because it's all in a place that's at risk and it's all in one place still, in a sense.
Right.
So,
so the general rule is you save enough money so that you draw about 4% off of it every year, and then you want your savings to grow at about that pace between inflation and that 4% draw, so that you have a low risk of running out of money. And so that's
you mentioned inflation. That's got to be a killer in retirement. If you have X amount of money and you say, I can spend this much, but the amount you're going to need from, I read recently, the amount you need from when you start, that you need to live on a month from when you enter retirement to when you're done with retirement, right? At the end of your life, the cost of goods and things could double in that time.
Yeah, just look at the cost of milk or eggs.
Sure.
In the last 15 years, you're gonna be in retirement for at least 15 years. So
minimum.
So just think about milk in the 15 years. It's almost doubled, right?
So how do you address inflation for your clients and people you meet with when you're setting up this retirement income plan?
So we put it into our software, and our software can help us look at that.
Sure.
And then we also point out the various things that they have as part of their financial world that do mitigation for inflation. The Social Security is a big part of your portfolio. Then guess what? It has cost of living adjustments for inflation. Now, that's why we like to have some money in things that are invested that will travel with inflation. So there are ways to invest so that your money travels with inflation. So if there is big inflation, then you also get that big rise. So there's things to do. Now we don't,
and hopefully you're earning interest on your money that is
exactly.
And that'll help you keep up with inflation. And so, but you calculate that into your plans. You do plan for inflation. Yeah,
we do. We plan for, kind of a whatever rate that feels comfortable for you. Some people say 2%, some people say 3%. Now I know we've had 8.9% recently, but that's kind of an outlier. If we look at the last 40 years, we don't get that in a specific year very often. But then sometimes we've had deflation, right? Sometimes cost of goods go down. It has happened. So there'll be a rebound. Not right now with our current economic outlook, with the tariffs and things. Everything's going to go up a little bit because of our trade's going to become more expensive. So that's kind of a challenge for retirees. We don't know everything that's going to happen with the current inflation rates.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, nobody knows the future, but you have 100 years of history to look at to base some decisions on, and you can look at average inflation rates, things like that. So, but again, we want to reiterate, I know you always say this, Chris, everybody's situation is different, and that's why you offer that no charge, no obligation consultation. You usually set aside some time where you can go over somebody's retirement income plans and show them where they're at and where they might need to be and how you can help moving forward if they'd like to. And I think that's fantastic. I really do. I think that's a key in all of this. I wouldn't want to try to figure all this out on my own. That's for sure. And I'm sure our listeners would as well, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say we're almost out of time, so you better.
That's what I was going to say.
Hey, that's what I was going to say. Okay, we got it. We got there at the same time. So let our listeners know how they can do that, how they can get a hold of you. I know you've set aside some no charge, no obligation consultations.
Yeah, I've got some complimentary consultations set aside on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Give us a call at 719-210-4242, and we can get those set up for you. Check out our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com, to learn more about us. Click on the radio page to check out our past shows so you can listen to this again if you liked it so much. They're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. But give us a call. We'll set up that complimentary consultation. And remember, we do have some upcoming education classes, the complimentary education classes that you can attend. Give us a call, 719-210-4242.
All right. That sounds great. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of Nolan Financial Radio with our amazing host, Chris McKinney.
Join us again soon for another episode of Nolan Financial Radio. Take care, and we'll talk to you again.